Today I'm going to show you how to do some wave sequencing on your AKAI Force or MPC using the key groups. So what is wave sequencing? Well, it actually can sound like a lot of different things. It's pretty much as varied as your imagination can be. In general, it falls into a couple of different categories. There are rhythmic wave sequences, and then there are more like cross-faded, evolving wave sequences. Let me show you a couple examples of these. Here's a rhythmic wave sequence. And here's more of a melodic wave sequence. Beautiful, isn't it? So wave sequencing is essentially sequencing a bunch of different waveforms or samples together, either very choppy, rhythmic-like, or kind of cross-fading between them. This technology was first put out, I believe, by Korg in around 1990 when they released a synth called the Korg Wavestation. Since that time, it's made its way into other synthesizers, like, for example, some of its flagship workstations like the Oasis and Kronos and Nautilus. And it actually exists in a current workstation or keyboard today called the Korg Wavestation. So the reason I'm bringing this up is, one, just to tell you a little bit about kind of where this idea comes from. I didn't make it up. And also, if you find out that this is really cool and the best thing since sliced bread, and you really get into it, these Korg offerings can go way beyond what we can do in the AKAI Force today. They really take it up to the next level. So there's some tools there to help you out with that kind of thing. But we can actually do quite a bit inside the AKAI Force and MPC, so I'm going to show you that. There's definitely enough here to be really creative and fun and inspiring and, most of all, useful. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to show you how to do one of these rhythmic wave sequences. It's actually pretty simple to get started, but I think the rhythmic one is the simplest one, so we'll start there. First of all, we're going to need some samples, and we can have up to 4. You can actually use less than 4, but you can use up to 4. So where are we going to get these samples? I mean, we've got a Force here, so obviously we can get samples from anywhere, from the internet, or we can sample from vinyl or anything else. Today, I'm just going to use something that I know that every one of you has available to you. We're going to resample from the internal synths. And specifically, I'm going to do that with Hype Synth. If you're kind of new at this and you're wondering where to get started and thinking, I don't know what kind of samples are going to make for a good wave sequence, well, I mean, the answer is don't worry about it. Just pick some stuff and get going. I don't really know either. I think you're going to find it's easier to just start with something, and if you don't already know, I mean, with the Force or MPC, it's so fast and easy to sample things that you really can, if something doesn't sound good, just, you can easily grab another sample and replace it. So we'll get going. Here I am in Hype Synth, and since this is going to be kind of a rhythmic kind of a patch, I'm going to choose something that is in kind of a rhythmic category. So like a great example might be like some of these plucks or pitched percussions. Let's start out with some of the pitched percussions, and maybe we'll just try this one called Mellow Pluck, see what it sounds like. That sounds like as good a place to me to start as any. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off all of these effects. Since these are going to be sequenced together, I'd prefer to not have them have any effects on them, and that way we can just add some effects to the entire key group and kind of make them sound a bit more cohesive. So that sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and sample that. So I'll come up to my sampler, and I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom of my list here. I've got 32 inputs set up, so it's way down there, but we'll just set this to resample left and right. And I'll just go ahead and record on this. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a single note and just sample the same note from every preset that I pick from. So these are going to be short and plucky. They just need to be pretty short samples. And we'll just stop that, and I can rename this to maybe Rhythmic 1. And I'll just press keep here to keep that sample. Now we can go pick a new one. So let's see, what does this sound like? Phased mallets. pretty interesting. Let me take all of the effects off of this one. And let's see here, I'm going to throw my knobs into screen mode, and let me just change this oscillator mix up here. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty neat. Let's grab that one. So I'll just come to my sampler, record arm. Good. And you can see since I named this like Rhythmic 1, it's already conveniently naming it Rhythmic 2 for me, which is great. I'll just press keep. Come back to hype synth. And actually, since this is hype synth, I might be able to just get away with like taking some more of my samples from this same preset by changing the second macro parameter here, oscillator 1, which is currently set to music box. Let's change that to marimba. Let's grab a sample of that. Rhythmic 3, keep. And let's see, can I get another one out of this preset? Let's try bottle finger. And there's Rhythmic 4. We'll go ahead and press keep. So now I've got all my samples. Let's go ahead and put these together. I'm going to go ahead and hold down on track 2 here. Track 2 already exists. It's audio. Let me go ahead and delete that one. So I'll hold down on this, and we'll create a new key group track. I'll hold down Shift and press Clip to come into the editor here, and let's go over to the Samples tab. And now I can just start to put these samples in. So for this layer 1, I'm going to pick Rhythmic 1. For layer 2, let's pick Rhythmic 2. Layer 3, Rhythmic 3. And for layer 4, Rhythmic 4. So the other thing that we need to do to make this all work, let's come back over here to the Global tab, and you can see here we've got a setup for how the layers play, and they're default to velocity. But let's go ahead and change that to cyc, CYC, cyclical. So now, if I press this pad repeatedly, you can see it's cycling through those 4 different sample layers that we put on each of the layers 1 through 4. So for the next step, let's set up our note repeat. I'm going to go in here to Shift ARP so I can set this up like I want it. And maybe let's start with the action being note repeat. And let's maybe take this down to 1/8 notes to start with. And let's turn the ARP on. Awesome. So bada bing, bada boom, there's already the start of a rhythmic wave sequence. So let's talk about a couple other things that we might be able to do with this. I mean, there's actually a ton because these key groups are really powerful, but let's just talk about a few really easy ones that you could do that are actually quite effective, some of my favorites. So if I come in here to the samples, it's really easy to change the pitch of any of these samples. And so let's change the semitones maybe on this one. And octaves, like 12 semitones, are always going to work really well, and like fifths, 7 semitones, those are always going to work really well. So let's hear what it sounds like with the second one shifted up an octave. That sounds pretty cool. Let's maybe make this one a fifth, 7 semitones. Awesome. Obviously, we can go crazy with effects in the Force and MPC. I think I am going to put just like a delay effect on this one. Let's just choose air delay. And we'll come in here. I'm just going to pick a preset, like 1/8 delay. Let's hear that. That sounds good for now. So what else can we do here? One thing that would be really fun and easy, if I just come back in here and I press Shift ARP to get into my arpeggiator configuration, we've got note repeat, and I can easily change the note length here, so that can be pretty fun. We've also got some different settings for velocity, and one of the really interesting ones I think is accented. When you do that, you get a couple more choices down here. So you get how much velocity you want to give to the accented notes and how much you want to give to the normal notes. So let's just leave that pretty much at default. And one other really thing you can do is that here in the action, in addition to note repeat, we've also got something called rhythm. And there are different rhythms down here that you can pick from. So the first one is jaunty. But there are different ones we can try out here. Skipping. Let's maybe turn this accented off so we can hear what these sound like on their own. We'll leave this as played. Maybe bring the note length up a little bit. Knock 4 times. So there's just a few really fun starter things that you can do to make these sound different and interesting. Okay, next let's check out how to make one of these more crossfading, evolving pad kind of sounds using this wave sequencing technique. I'm going to come back to hype synth, and we're going to grab some more samples for starters. This technique is actually really similar to what we did for rhythmic. There's just a couple extra steps to make it work. So since this is going to be more of a pad kind of sound, let's pick a different category here, and maybe let's start with like some warm pads. And we'll just start with this first one here. That sounds kind of cool. Let me go ahead and turn off all the effects again here. And that's there's still something here I'm not crazy about. I think let's maybe turn this LFO depth down. There we go. Perfect. Let's sample that. Record arm and I am making these a little bit longer just because this is going to be more of a pad sound and we want these to kind of flow together. So we'll let the envelopes take care of, when they start and end. Let's rename this to, let's call this pad 1. And perfect. And we'll just go ahead and keep that one. And let's go find another to sample. That might be interesting. Let's turn these effects off. Let's try another. Yeah, I think that sounds good. Let's sample that. It's already named pad 2, so let's keep it. Let's grab another one. Actually, maybe I can change some of these macro parameters and get a different sound. That's kind of cool. Let's grab that. Pad 3, keep that. And one more time here, let's change this macro again. Let me pick a different preset here and try to get something a little different sounding. Yeah, that's pretty different. Turn these effects off. Let's try that. Pad 4, keep. Cool. So now let's go ahead and create another key group. I'm going to hold down 4 here and create a key group. Same thing. Let's go into the samples and pick our new pads that we created here. So pad 1, layer 1, layer 2, pad 2, layer 3, pad 3, and layer 4, pad 4. So again, we'll go back here to global. Again, we'll set this to cyclical. So that sounds good, but if I turn on my ARP and let's set this back to note repeat and maybe make these a bit slower, like a quarter note, and we'll go ahead and bring the note length up. So that actually sounds still pretty choppy, right? So let's go take a look at the envelopes, and we're just going to bring up the attack and release here to make these kind of smooth out and crossfade together. So let me start with the attack, and we'll bring up the release some and just kind of hear what we've got here. That sounds great. That needs a big lush reverb. Let's go ahead and here grab maybe a chamber, about a large chamber. I think we can bring down that mix quite a bit. So there you have it. There's how to do some wave sequencing with the AKAI Force or MPC. We've really just kind of scratched the surface of what can be done here, and obviously my samples were pretty randomly chosen, but if you get into this, there's really just a ton of fun stuff that you can do. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and again, my name is Joe. I'll catch you next time.